The plant.
Oh, okay.
Hmm?
Hmm?
What? Anyway, I got some weird playing over here. Some weird noises going on. Too much Pornhub.
Other than that, what you got on your mind?
So I wanted to start out today's podcast. We'll talk about our epic bicep and tricep workout maybe a little bit
Mm-hmm.
later as we're wrapping up this podcast. But I wanted to come in here and hit up a quick hitter. I'm going to Las Vegas tomorrow, going out to get a calcium score done, as per the recommendation from Dr. Davis, Dr. William Davis. If you haven't listened to that podcast, make sure you get a chance to check it out. And also going out to see Stan Rhino Efforting's doctor. You can imagine what that entails. Ahem. But just getting some blood work done and just trying to make sure I'm healthy. I have some goals coming up. I want to work on getting leaner again and do certain things. But I just want to make sure that everything's kept in check, so to speak.
Nice.
But what I wanted to talk about today is everybody is hungry to set goals, and everybody's hungry. And we've talked a lot in this podcast about setting goals, and something that I never addressed, and I kind of can't believe that I never addressed it, but something that is important to share. My stomach is growling. I'm not really sure why. I think maybe just because all I had was some aminos I haven't eaten yet. But anyway, if you hear my stomach growling, it's growling because it wants to eat everything in sight.
Mm-hmm.
I think. But what I wanted to share with everybody today is that when you reach your goals, you're not necessarily going to be any happier than you are right now. You'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be. That is a quote from Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln was pretty goddamn smart. But you'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be. That's regardless of goals, or if you set a goal, or if you're on your way to a goal, or if you already reached your goal. And I think that the goals can make us accountable. They could give us responsibility. The goals can help us. We were just talking to Aaron in the gym. Aaron used to weigh probably close to 400 pounds. He weighs about 325, 330 now. So he lost a tremendous amount of weight, and he's trying to keep it off. And he's crept back up like an additional 20 pounds. And so by him, setting a goal to be 320, and him being or him setting a goal to be 300 pounds, coming down from being 320 or 330, when he gets to 300 pounds, he's not necessarily going to be any happier. There's not like something that's going to happen when he gets to that 300 pounds. Now, that's the goal. That's what he wants to do. But it's important to understand that for right now, at this very moment, you are as happy as you make up your mind to be. It's up to you on how happy you want to be. Making these goals and doing these things, they are fun, but they're goals and they're things that can keep you motivated and they can keep you moving. And it starts to, when you really start to look at it, you could look at all this and somebody could teach a course on it, and they could go up and it could like write on a board, and they can kind of point to you why these different things are of significance, is because they help give us meaning and they help you kind of with your day to day. But if you're trying to think like, when this happens, everything else is going to be better,
Mm-hmm.
that's not really the case. That's kind of a false hope that you're giving yourself. And I wanted to make sure that I share that with people today, because I think that when people get to a goal, then they're like, oh, like, what do I do now? I just saw an amazing interview, and we'll have Sean Roden on the podcast soon, but they talked to him about, toppling the great Phil Heath, and they talked to him about winning the Olympia.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what's changed, man? Like, they wanted to get the dirt, like, what's new? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what happened? Now what type thing? And he said, well, he's like, I got home to L.A., and he's like, I was pretty excited, had the Sandow trophy, put it down, put it in my living room and looked at it. And then I looked over and noticed the garbage was full. He's like, so I took the garbage out. He's like, and I went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I made breakfast for my little girl. And he's like, and I took her to school. And he's like, so everything's the same.
Wow.
that's a lifelong goal.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Like, what are you going to do when you win the Mr. Olympia contest? Are you going to go out and snort cocaine off a stripper's ass and then eat a bunch of ice cream and pizza and stuff? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's not anything like you're going to celebrate it by being like, you know what? Let's see if we can defend this title. Now I
Mm-hmm.
got the strap. Same thing with someone like Cody Garbrandt, who's here in Sacramento, good friend of ours, good friend of Super Training Gyms, and somebody I hold in high regard. I have a lot of respect for that guy. He's a tough son of a bitch. But winning the belt is a huge. Winning a UFC title is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to defend it.
It's a whole different animal.
It's a whole different animal. A lot of times these goals, there's not like Andrew and I might have a goal to do 400 podcasts in a year or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing different's going to change. It's just that we set out to do something. And now what would happen, again, you going back to that whiteboard mentality, where if we were writing this down, we could say, okay, the goal is 400. There's 52 weeks in a year. All right. Andrew can't do the math. I can't do the math. Joey, help us out with the math.
Yeah.
And that's mainly just a racist joke because Joey's Asian, and all Asian people are good at math, right?
What just so happens, she's really good at math, though.
I know. She's like a math world champion or
I
something.
think so. She does the letter math. It doesn't. I don't know how it works.
I know. Yeah, that is weird.
It is weird.
How is there an X in there?
I don't know where it came from. Maybe
X is equal to Y because I don't know.
it has
why.
something to do with the X sleeves.
The X Factor.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the show before.
Mm.
But I think a lot of times people think they're going to like hit this goal and like something magical is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it just doesn't. It doesn't work that way. You need to be happy with the process, with what you're going through. And I was just thinking about this the other day. It's kind of a weird thing, but I just kind of I see a lot of people. Not that I'm like the happiest, cheeriest person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like our boy JP, that came out here and showed us all up on the squat. JP is like really happy and really jolly.
Okay, yeah.
Like different people are different ways. Like he dresses up as Santa Claus every year. Sorry, his kids might have heard that. He's like a professional Santa Claus, and the guy's got a grin ear to ear. I don't
Mhm.
walk around like that necessarily all day, but I am like positive. I am excited,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times, like I'm walking around downtown Davis, and I love the area. I love walking around down there, and I'm going to like a coffee shop. And I'm kind of walking around with like half a smile, and I think people think I'm like crazy.
Yeah.
People are kind of like mean mugging me.
He hangs out with the girl that yells at everybody, yells at buses down the street.
Yeah, right.
And you guys think I might have just made that up, but no, there is a woman in Davis that just yells.
Yep. And yeah, she cusses a lot. She's got a potty mouth.
We should get her on the podcast.
Yep. It's an ex-girlfriend of mine, she's still heartbroken.
Still upset.
Never
Oh,
really.
so no wonder every time only we walk by, that she
Yeah.
starts yelling.
Shit, fuck. Yeah.
No.
But I walk around with kind of like, half a smile on my face. And first of all, like, I'm just happy to like be alive. I'm happy to be walking around. The weather here in Northern California is almost always amazing. It could get a little too hot on occasion. It can get a little too cold on occasion, but in the grand scheme of things, if we're
Mhm.
comparing, the heat in like and the humidity of like Alabama,
Yeah.
and the coldness of like Buffalo, New York, or something like that, like
Mhm.
we're not anywhere near any of that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty generally happy just because of that. But also, like I don't know. I feel like I almost have like a secret. Like I don't really worry about a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And I thought about it a lot more, and I started thinking about when I was younger, I didn't worry about stuff because I just wouldn't take on the responsibility of things that I couldn't do. And when I was young, I thought there was a lot of things I couldn't do, so I had a lot less responsibility, almost like no responsibility. I barely took responsibility for myself, and that's how I ended up with like debt, and that's how I ended up with like no car, because I ended up getting a bunch of tickets, and I never took care of any of them. A lot of guys go, this is like a man thing. Like I mean, not to say that women can't go through that, but like it's really rare to hear of a girl who's such a loser like a
Just
guy.
let stuff go.
yeah, let stuff go like that. I think women, they tend to care or worry about it more. But as I got older and as I matured more, and as I was able to do more stuff, I talk about do more, be more. The more that you can do, the more that you will do, the more that you'll want to do because you'll feel better about yourself. You'll feel more confident. And even if you're just doing little stuff, the more that you do, the more that you'll be able to do. Even just getting up off the couch and hitting up the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and getting your foods prepared for the next couple meals that you have. That little task right there might sound so minor, but the leg up that you're getting on your own goals is huge. And forget about the rest of the world. I mean, you're really dominating at that point
Right.
because everyone else is so lazy. So you're really getting out in front of it. But as I thought about it more, you tend to hear people say, "Oh, the things that we worry about are the things that we can't control." We're worried about some scenario that's never going to happen anyway. And I thought about it more, and and we've even kind of talked about that on this podcast before. And I was like, you know what? That's actually really not that true. Like, I disagree with that statement. Like, that's not a completed statement. Yeah, we tend to worry about things that aren't going to happen because we kind of make up these scenarios in our head, or we make up something. We've talked about this a lot on this podcast where we have the perception of what someone's going to say or do, and that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
damaging, and we're worried about that. And there are a lot of things that are like that, but there's also just your own responsibilities to get shit done, and that causes a lot of worry and causes a lot of stress. When I was talking with, it's really interesting to see the different people in here turn the corner when when they haven't when you never thought that they would. You never thought that they would
Mm.
be. You never thought you'd have this conversation with certain people in this gym about how they're no longer cutting the corners; they're going around them. And I was talking with Marcus the other day. Now, Marcus is not a guy who's going to take shortcuts when it comes to like his squat workout, his
Right.
bench workout, and like he's very meticulous with everything that he does. He's actually very like an analytical person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that about him. He's not just this, you know, Neanderthal Filipino thunder that comes in and screams and squats heavy weights. He really thinks about stuff quite a bit. But we were talking about diet the other day, and he and I were talking, and he said, it's just easier and less expensive and smarter just to cook your own food. Just to prep your own stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
just it just makes so much more sense in every single way. And he said that a lot of people try to make it out to be harder. And he's like, I just think it's easier because the food that you're eating, I mean, there's some people that can digest just about anything and they don't care. But a lot of times you're going to digest those foods better. Those foods are more nutritious for you. I mean, the list of positive that it's doing for you, it makes everything easier because it makes your life easier because there's less worry. If
Mm-hmm.
your goal is to squat a certain amount of weight, well, then you need a certain amount of fuel and certain type of fuel to push you in that direction. Now, if you're not doing that and you're just rolling through In and Out burger and you're just chewing on protein bars and having a protein shake here and there, and you're very haphazard with your attempt, well, you're going to end up with shitty results. You're not going to end up with the results that you want, and that's going to cause a ton of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the thing about people saying, that you don't worry about these things because they're things that aren't going to ever happen. I don't think it's actually true. I would say that the majority of the things that we worry about are things that we have a lot of control over, but we're not controlling them, and that's what gives us a lot of stress. You put off cooking your meals for the next day, and then the next morning you're stressed out. You're like, oh man, I don't have this, I don't have that. You go on a trip or you're gone for a few hours and you don't have the foods, and now you're hungry, and it just causes a cascade of problems. It's also it's also really hard to ever like let off the gas pedal on that. It's hard to be like rational about that because all too well that if you do let off the gas pedal, that's going to let all these other things come into play
Mm-hmm.
that could lead you into having a really bad streak for a while. Just as quickly as you could develop a good streak, you can be like, dude, I've been crushing it with my diet. I've been crushing it with my sleep. I'm 15 days in a row just been on it like you wouldn't believe. Well, then another 15 days from now, you could say the exact same thing in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah. And it can be so much more detrimental. Like as far as like it took 15 days to like feel great. Man, it could take just like 1 or 2 nights of bad sleep and bad eating to where you're like, like I just threw all that away, and then now you got a little bit of depression from from kind of falling off, and then you're
Right.
like, and then next time you see the person, like, oh man, how's everything going? Oh, I fell off the wagon. Like, how many times have you heard that?
Yeah, I fell off the wagon, and another thing I think that happens, kind of, in the same vein as this, is that you also, oh man, I had a good streak going, and I fell off the wagon. But I think that other times too, people are looking at other people and they're saying, oh, it's easier for them.
Yeah.
Like it's easier for Stan Efferding. Stan Efferding has money already. Like was pro bodybuilder. It's just easier for him. It's not any easier for him. It's actually, like, in some ways, shit's kind of harder. Like, especially when you become like a public figure.
Hmm.
Now he has to be Stan Efferding all the time. I think for Stan, I think being lean is something that comes pretty easy to him. I don't think it's like something that he has to really work. I'm not. No, he works tremendously hard, but I just think that being lean and being pretty jacked is like just his thing, and he's just pretty damn good at it. On top of working hard for it, but I think it's of no surprise. People will think, oh, it's someone who works really hard, someone who's these hardworking, smart people. Someone will kind of think, oh, these hardworking, smart people, they get all the luck. It's like, well, really think about what you're staying there. Of course, they get all the luck because they're working for it all the time, and so, and plus, they're probably looking at the positives. Meanwhile, you're trying to look at a lot of the negatives,
Hmm.
and you're not seeing the fortune that you have that's coming your way. You don't see the opportunities that are there, that are right there in front of you, for you to just be as successful as somebody else.
Yeah, I know because it's like I try to think back when I had to work in an office and I didn't have an opportunity to just walk 10 feet into a gym. And there's no doubt it was harder as far as time being stuck in traffic and whatnot. But if I meal prepped as much as I did now, I think I would be able to make, not make it as easy because I'm not going to lie and say, like, oh, it's just as easy for anybody else that doesn't work at a gym.
Right,
It's just, it's more convenient, is what it is,
right.
more than anything. But if I had this mindset back then to do more and be more, I definitely could have, hit the gym way more consistently.
I think that people feel that this happiness is going to come, you know, um, once I move from my apartment to this house that has a better stove and a better
Hmm.
kitchen, then I'll be able to cook more. We'll be able to have more parties over here, and think we'll be more social. Like, we'll just be happier. They just think all these things are going to change and they're going to happen, and they really don't. It's your own mindset that has to change. That's going to be the most important thing. Happiness comes from small things that you hammer out day by day. It doesn't come from one big thing that makes some sort of huge change.
Hmm.
I talked about on this podcast how there's never been one single thing that's ever changed anything. For me, there has not. It's been like a progression of a lot of different things. Even the invention of the slingshot. It wasn't like I invented it and boom, I was off to the races. I created this idea in my head, and it took a really long time to manifest and to turn into what it turned into. It took a long time to turn it into an actual product, and then it took a long time to take an invention and a product and turn the invention and product into a full-grown or fully formed business,
Hmm.
which is then having other products that support the slingshot. Because if I just had the slingshot, like, where would we be right now? Like, I don't know. We wouldn't. Maybe we'd still be selling slingshots, but it would be a really, really small company. We sell a lot of fucking slingshots, so it's not really necessarily about that. But then we made other supportive gear, and all the gear goes together. It's all stuff that is specifically designed to make your workouts more comfortable, allow
Hmm.
you to handle more weight, allow you to train with an advantage. You can lift heavier with less pain, and but it's through that process of coming up with all these different concepts and coming up with all these different ideas over a long period of time that has turned into what it's turned into. It wasn't this one change. Like I had the dream of having this gym, this facility that we're in now, um, for probably about 5 years. But the years prior to that, I was working my ass off to try to figure out how to get to here
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that this would create better opportunity. I felt that. But at the same time, there's still a lot of great opportunity. I was still creating my own opportunities and trying to create other opportunities for other people before I got here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stop. I wasn't like, oh, I gotta wait until we're gonna wait until this happens for this other thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people saying that, and I think it's a not a great mindset. And this thing that I thought about, it might sound kind of corny, but I just thought, you know, you don't you don't you don't sit around and worry about stuff. You warrior about it. You turn into a warrior. You fight for it. You fight through these things. I've mentioned before in this podcast, you want to try to lift through it. People talk about living through certain things. Well, lifting through things is has been a thing that's always worked really well for me because whether somebody called me fat or somebody called me stupid or whether I was inadequate at doing certain things, I could always rest my hat on the fact that I could pick up that weight and maybe somebody else couldn't. And being able to kind of lift through aches and pains. When I was about 20 years old, I herniated a disc in my back. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything really. I couldn't laugh. I was pretty miserable. I got on painkillers for a little while. It was a really short period of time that I did that because I just realized that that was bad news and that wasn't going to work. And this back pain was crazy, and it was for about 2 weeks where I was really jacked up, and then it started to dissipate. But what happened is I went to a doctor, and they said we got to fuse your spine together. And they told me this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I was like, man, like, I don't want to be like, off my feet for X amount of weeks and have all
Mm-hmm.
this shit happen. And I was really scared and nervous to do that, so I didn't want to do that. So I went and I tried to just like work out and stuff, and I couldn't figure any of that out. And the doctors told me, you really can't go to the gym. So I spent about 3 weeks out of the gym, and I just got more and more pain. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna lift through it. Like, if I make my back stronger, it won't hurt anymore. And so I went to the gym and I started training and I started doing things that just didn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd sit down and do curls and I'd do this movement and that movement. And I slowly started to realize, okay, I can train this, I can train that. I don't have to, worry about my lower back on these certain movements, and did them for weeks on end. And then my back started to feel a little bit better with more exercise, and I started to incorporate more and more exercises. But I fought through the whole process rather than sitting around and worry about it. I worried about it. I trained. I trained through it. I lifted through it. I made myself stronger while all these other things were going on that with my back that I thought I couldn't control. I did have control over them. I could control them. These things that you think that you can't normally do shit with, you actually can. And so, going to the gym and trying to lift my way through it was the best thing really that ever happened to me because I learned so much through that process. And when I think about other people telling me, "Oh, my back hurts," and my back hurts because of a deadlift. I'm always like, "No, your back doesn't hurt because of a deadlift. Your back hurts because it's weak. You need to work on making it stronger. Over a period of time, you'll get it stronger, and it will hurt less." I mean, there are injuries that are nagging and that may always just kind of be around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the point is there's things that you can do to make these things better. And if specifically that your shoulder hurts every time you bench press, well, on a day that you're going to bench press, take extra time to take care of your shoulder so your shoulder doesn't hurt when you bench press. If you need to warm up or whatever it is, or simply don't bench press, there's a novel idea that no one will ever do, right? But again, you're causing your own misery. You're causing your own problems by simply not being rational about the fact that, okay, this is the problem. Here's how I'm going to solve it. Here's what I'm going to do to take care of it. And here's how I'm going to do it in a timely fashion so that, it doesn't impede upon everything else in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced everything you just said with my back. I just assumed I'd never really be able to deadlift again or just not be in pain, but you helped build my back up. But when it comes to like doing more and being more, somebody might be listening to this saying like, I want to be an actor and I'm living in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, name a Midwest state. I'm gonna move to LA right now and just become an actor. It's like, like hold on, like what kind of steps should people be taking as far as like you're saying, do what you're able to do right now, but when can people jump to making progress? And as far as like we're gonna cook dinner tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go to the gym. When really it's like, holy shit, you're probably not gonna be able to go to the gym tomorrow because of X, Y, and Z or whatever. So do a 10-minute walk instead.
Right.
But they don't recognize that, and then like, oh shit, I'm such a piece of shit because I didn't do what I said I was gonna do.
Yeah. In terms of like making a leap, you want to be. This is where things get to be a little bit hard and a little bit confusing, is because when you're when you're working towards when you're working towards a goal, you want to try to be irrational in some ways, because you want to have a goal and a dream that's so big that it kind of sounds crazy. We've talked about that before on the podcast.
Yeah.
Or you might say, like when I was a kid, I said I wanted to live in a castle, right? So you're going to say these things that are pretty outlandish. Now, as you go through the process, like somebody saying they want to be in the NFL, as they go through the process, like our boy Terrell, as you go through it and you play high school football and you're one of the best around, you play college football and you're like, okay, there's a lot of other dudes that are All-American and these guys are going to get drafted in the first round. I'm not the best. I'm not better than everybody else. So now I have an outside chance to try this NFL thing. And you start to become a little bit more rational, and there has to be some form of rational thought that comes into play as you get closer to your goal, because are you going to really make that leap? And if you're going to make that leap and you want to be an NFL football player, that's not something you can really, like, you can just go and like start a business and you can say I'm an entrepreneur, but you can't just play in the NFL. Like someone's got to like you enough to make it work, right? Anyone can claim they're an entrepreneur, and you see it all over the internet. It drives me crazy. But to make that leap, you're going to have to be close enough to where you at least think you have a shot of making the jump. I've used the Mario Brothers example many times, where you're jumping to the flagpole and trying to get as many points as you can, and you strategically line him up so he can jump as far as possible, right? And if you mess it up, then you got to just get like 400 points or whatever it is for, jumping his fat little body on the pole at the bottom, right? And
hated when I fell.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, you want to go all the way up and like slide down the flagpole with the flag underneath your butt, basically, right?
So at that point, I would just jump on the block that it stood on and then just walk into it. And it's so sad because the flag goes all the way up, but you're just sitting there holding the bottom as it slides through your, I'm assuming, his digital fingertips.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad, but yeah, you want to make sure that you are legitimately working towards it. People talk about what they'll never do, and I always consider those people to be cowards. They have these big dreams, these big goals, and they keep talking about this thing that this crazy business they're gonna open up or do, and it's like, why do you talk about that? You know that you'll never, like, you just, when the person at a holiday brings that up, you just want to like turn around and smack them and be like, why do I have to hear you talk about this every year? Because it ain't ever gonna happen. You're a bitch, and it ain't ever gonna happen. But even for that person, like the reason why they're not doing it is because they know they're not lined up to do it. So you have to at least be lined up to do it. And you hear people talk about this all the time too. You got to make sure that you really like it. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you got to make sure that you're really into it. If you want to have, if you want to, I don't know, you want to fucking pimp out cars or something, you better make sure that you love cars.
Yeah.
You better make sure that that's a thing for you, or motorcycles, or whatever the hell business it is. You got to make sure you really love it. And the reason that that's important is because can you see yourself doing it in 5 years? Can you see yourself doing it in 3 years or 10 years? Those are things that need to play out in your head. And those are things that I think about when I think about this business, when I think about the different things that I'm going to do. I'm like, am that really something I'm going to do? Yeah, with Power Magazine. We had Power Magazine for nearly 10 years. That's a good run.
Mm-hmm.
We did it for a long time. It was successful. We had fun with it. A lot of people enjoyed it. It was time for print magazines to just kind of be put to rest, and so that was that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I'm trying to pick things that we're going to do for like just weeks at a time or something. We're trying to have some longevity with these things. Try to have some legs with these things.
Yeah, and Power Magazine's not going anywhere per se. It's still gonna be bi-monthly, but just digital form now.
Yeah, we're gonna be changing some things up. Coming up, but the point is like, make sure that it's something that you still have strong convictions towards. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
it's something that still has a powerful pull. And when I was talking about how you're not going to be any happier when you reach your goal, you'll be excited from reaching your goal, and that'll cause like an endorphin rush, and it'll do all kinds of things for you. But it's not really going to make you truly happy. It's not really truly going to change anything. Even something like getting engaged or getting married, like what you just
Mm-hmm.
got engaged, just a few days ago. It doesn't actually really change anything. It's symbolic, and it's okay. Here's we've been together for a long time. Our goal is to eventually get married. Well, the engagement is a nice big chunk and a nice big break off of getting married. Like it's all right. Yeah. Now we're at some point within the next 2 years or something,
Mm-hmm.
we will figure out a date and we will we'll have a wedding.
Right.
Whatever our wedding is. But being engaged, you wake up the next day and you're like, oh my God, I'm engaged. Like that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really truly change anything. The love that you have for Stephanie and the love that she has for you is the same. You guys might grow together stronger as you go, and you might learn more about each other that makes you more excited about each other and things like that. But it's like you love each other, and there's not really like an amount, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not like
Right.
it's not like anything really changed because you gave her a ring. She doesn't really. It's not that. It just doesn't work that way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of times, what it's helped me over the years is recognizing that I'm not going to be any happier when I reach my goal than I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said in the very beginning of the podcast with Abraham Lincoln quote, you're as happy as you make up your mind to be. And that's really important. And I'm, like I said, I'm walking around Davis with half a smile. I think people think I'm crazy, but I feel like I know a secret. I feel like I'm in on something. And I mentioned this before on the podcast too. I think that people that engage in fitness are in on a certain special secret. I think our lives can be more prosperous. Our lives can be more fun. The people that lift, I mean, they already know it. I mean, that's why we love it, and that's why we feel so good about it. Um, but when I look around and I see other people that are, especially like at an airport or something,
Mm-hmm.
I'll walk around and I'll be pretty cheery and pretty happy, and I'm like, man, these people are just, sometimes people don't know where the hell they're going in the airport, but I'm like, man, these people are grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm walking around with that half a smile all the time is because I know that I've been working really hard, and I know that I've been working on hammering out small advantages every day to get towards my goal. And so I'm not worried about anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you see somebody walking down the street and they got a big old smile on their face, or like a kid, you see a kid that's really happy and they're playing with a truck or something, they don't have a freaking worry in the world.
Mm-mm.
That's what really makes you happy. So it's not necessarily um, it's not necessarily a goal that's going to make you happy, but it's just hammering out these things day by day. Maybe they are small goals, but don't get it twisted and think that when this thing happens, oh, I can't wait till this happens. I can't wait till that happens. I hear that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a dangerous spot to be in. Yeah, of course, you can be excited about a trip that you're going to go on with your family. Um, Of course, you're gonna be excited about this and that, but just understand the fact that it's not really gonna truly change anything. It's gonna be a moment that you get to experience with each other. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna make some great memories and all those things. But you don't you want to kind of be happy now. Be
Mm-hmm.
happy now. Be happy and excited now. Don't be miserable and think. I've heard people say, oh, when we have kids, things will change, or when we get married, things will change. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, you and I've talked about that on this podcast before. That's crazy talk.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think about, oh, I'm sure Andrew will stop playing video games when we get married.
Mm-hmm.
If you love video games now, you're going to be playing them a lot for a long time, probably.
Yeah, yeah. What I hear a lot, well, not a lot, but when I try to help somebody out, like with going like with a low carb diet or something like that, it's like, okay, like here's what you're gonna want to do this, do that. Okay, for how long? Like, well,
Right.
no, that's just what you do now. Like, if you wanna if you wanna keep progressing, that's now how you live your life. It's like, okay, so like I meal prepped for Monday and Tuesday, but I'm gonna have to do it again on Wednesday. It's like, well, don't think about that. How about we just celebrate for a second here and be
Hmm.
like, holy shit, like you're now ahead of the game.
Right.
Like, and guess what? Now that you're ahead on Wednesday, it's gonna be a little bit easier than it was today. But I hear that a lot. Like, oh, I'm gonna
Hmm.
I have to keep this up now. It's like, well, kinda, but after a while, you won't be having to keep it up. Like that's just what you do.
Yeah, it's just your new standard. You
Yeah,
raised your standards. You're living up to something totally different,
yeah.
and it at some point, the food that you consume when it's not what you're used to, it really kills your stomach.
Mhm,
And you're like, I don't even. After a while, you're like, I don't even want that anymore.
mhm,
Of course, you're gonna have like moments where you're gonna waver here and there from stuff. Like no one's perfect, but once you kind of get out in front of stuff, the life that you can live and the life that is there in front of you, there is a lot of money. There is a lot of other forms of success. There is a lot of happiness that is just waiting for you.
mhm,
It's just sitting there. It's
mhm.
for the taking. Like it has your name on it. All you got to do is claim it.
Yeah,
You gotta do some work for it. It might not be easy. Um,
but that's
but
kind of what
yeah,
makes it like whatever the goal is, whatever the job title it is, no one else is doing it because it's hard. So
right.
so going in that like all this is gonna be it's gonna pay off. It's gonna be worth it because no one else is willing to put in the fucking work. Like right now, I'm just thinking about my day. I'm gonna have to. Well, I don't have to. I get to go enjoy my nephew's baseball game.
Whoop whoop.
I'm gonna probably take my camera. I'm pretty excited, but I'm looking at the long ass day that I have because I'm excited to go to Costco to get food, and I'm excited to cook food tonight to cook for tomorrow. But I'm gonna be doing stuff that no one else is gonna be doing tonight, and I'm gonna get ahead. And I'm so excited for that right now. And I think people just don't understand how good that can feel.
It's amazing. And again, if you see me in downtown Davis and I look like I'm smiling, that is why. That's a secret that I'm in on. And I will say this to the day I die. I think that fitness is a secret, and I think it does unlock a lot of powers. It unlocks a lot of potential.
Hmm.
It's a cheat code for life. You get to get a little bump above, a little notch above everybody.
Hmm.
When you have, my dad is learning this with his training. My dad keeps talking about a PR every day. It's so funny because he's like, oh, I didn't get a PR today. I don't know what he thinks. Like, I don't know what he thinks his workout should be. It's kind of funny,
Yeah.
but he's like, I didn't get a PR today. He goes, so when I was leaving the gym, he's like, they have some stairs like going down, down the steps. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go up and down those steps 15 times. And so he
That's so good.
he's like that's a record. He's like I remember you saying like, if it's new then it's a record.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably just set a world record.
Yeah. Right. A world
Yeah.
record for those particular stairs. No one's ever gone up and down them
Yeah.
15 times consecutively like that. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and again, like with fitness, the reason why I feel that the reason why I feel that it makes you feel that way is because you feel in control. You
Mm-hmm.
feel in control of something. Like we got a lot of guys and girls in the gym and stuff that are really fighting for these goals, and they're really hungry, and they put a lot of time into it. And of course, they're not reaching every goal. I'm not reaching every goal. You're not reaching every
Mm-hmm.
goal. We can't reach every single thing that we strive for. Life just doesn't work that way. But when you're in the pursuit of something, when you're in the pursuit of making yourself better, it is like really magical. It
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel awesome. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel. That's why we get hurt.
Mm.
We get hurt because it makes us feel unstoppable. We want to just load up a bunch of weight and then we do something stupid. I think you did it a while back with a squat.
Mm-hmm.
Your squat was progressing and you got excited, but that's how it makes you feel. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you would never do something like that. You normally, under normal circumstances, you wouldn't be so happy to like pick up a bunch more weight
Right.
that could potentially hurt you.
Yeah.
But that's the way this stuff makes us feel. It makes us feel amazing.
Yeah. And I had talked about it on the last podcast about acute stress versus chronic stress. Our body doesn't understand once the like I said, like the big ass stack of paperwork that we had to do at work. Once that's gone, like that stress, once that's gone, our body doesn't get the like the endorphin rush. It's kind of like we shot a blank. It's like, wait, there's nothing here. Like,
Right.
I must not be done. I still got to keep building up this anxiety. Whereas when we lift some heavy ass weights, it's like, hell yeah, like that was great. Let's have fun now.
That makes a lot of sense. I've heard people before too say that when you set a goal, that even just by setting the goal and like doing like what we call a social media victory lap,
Mm-hmm.
that your body, your mind already thinks that you actually accomplished that.
Mm-hmm.
The same chemical cascade happens in your brain. So like if I don't know, if you were posting like that you were really happy with the success of your diet lately, like day 21,
Mm-hmm.
super pumped, lost 10 pounds. Well, your brain, that feels the same as if you lost, let's say your goal was like 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Because you shared you did this social media victory lap kind of prematurely.
Uh-huh.
And so it kind of, again, makes you get off that gas pedal. And it makes you not as hungry as you were to kind of reach that goal in the first place. And so again, this comes back to when I was broke, when I was in my 20s, and when I met my wife. I had no car, I had no driver's license. Um, I didn't like I didn't I worked hard, but I didn't have any like real income coming in. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't I wasn't really putting up points on the
Right.
scoreboard, I guess you'd say. I was working hard, lifting, and I was just trying to, at least I thought at the time I was doing the best I could.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I didn't have a whole lot going on at the time, and I didn't understand that there was so much more I could control. As I started getting more into the fitness and nutrition and those kinds of things, I started to understand. It started to open up my brain and make me realize, you know what? Okay, so I don't have a car or license because I got too many tickets in New York, and my driver's license got revoked, and I can get another one here, but I don't know what it does because I never checked into it. Like, so just loser stuff that you go through, and I just didn't realize, like, man, I could make my entire life so much easier if I just lived my life ahead. I'm already doing it
Mm-hmm.
with working out. I take care of that. I have a responsibility with lifting, and I've created a body that I feel good in, and I feel strong, and I'm eating the way that I want to eat, regardless of all the convenient foods that are around from our culture. And then I was like, I should be able to do that with other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started incorporating it little by little into everything that I do, and
Started
th-
lifting your way through life.
started lifting my way through life. Things started to really click and come together. And even stuff like I went to a junior college. I had some like student loans from that, and even that process of like just calling them and paying them, like, so I called them and I said, like, I don't have really a lot of money to pay, and they're like, okay, well, what can you pay? And so I told them, I don't remember the dollar amount, but it was really low, and
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, we don't care. We just
Mhm.
want you to pay something.
Mhm.
So if you're paying, then they're like, yeah, in the long run, you'll pay more because the sooner you can pay it, the better. But um, they're like, yeah, that's fine. I never knew it worked that way.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Mhm.
Because I never looked into it.
Mhm.
I never tried to take advantage of a small opportunity, which is just to find out more information.
Mhm.
So now that I know, now that I've, once you learn these things, you don't have to ever let those things hurt you again. You don't have to ever let those things drag you down again.
Mhm.
And that stress and everything that was caused from all those different things, which at that point I didn't really have stress because I just didn't care. But all those different things that happen, they can really pull you down. But back to the whole entire point, and we'll wrap this son of a bitch up. Is you are as happy as you make up your mind to be. You're as happy as you make up your mind to be. That's something that you should write down because when I was broke and didn't have a license and didn't have all these things, I was still really happy. I'd still laugh all the time. I still would have fun with I wasn't sulking. I wasn't like, oh man, you know, like just the way the government is, man. I can't get a good job or like, I don't
Mhm.
know, like people complain about all kinds of weird stuff. So
Yeah.
I never let myself fall into that rut.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully today's poopcast was beneficial to you guys. We need you guys to get out there and hustle. We need you guys to get out there and vote for us and tell people. By voting for us, I mean you need to tell other people how
Mhm.
awesome we are. Get more people subscribed to the Power Project channel. I think there's like 12,000 or so on there
Mhm.
right now. But anything you guys can do to help would be appreciated. Some comments on iTunes, some ratings,
Mhm.
just anything you guys can do to help is appreciated. We love spending time and resources on and getting some of the best people in the world on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, I mean
It's great.
our current subscribers and watchers, they're all dope. Like I've met like 3 that have come into the gym this week.
Right.
It's been great. Some guy, I think his name was Bobby. He's from New Jersey.
What's up, Bobby?
Yeah. I think he might even still be here. He doesn't know we're talking about him, but he'll find out on Tuesday. When is today? Today's Tuesday when people hear this on
Right.
iTunes, but oh man, I hate talking into the future. But anyway, and then the guy that gave us the Super Nintendo, he's
Mm-hmm.
back. And then someone else I was talking to, I can't think of, but like so we're impacting people's lives, and now we're just asking those people to just hey.
Yeah. Well, we want the same impact that it has for you guys. We want it to impact other people the same way.
Mhm.
So just relay the message. You showed me a message from Instagram of
Mhm.
somebody that chimed in,
Yeah.
and I just sent the guy a quick video.
Yeah, our boy Thomas.
There you go.
There he
What's
is.
up, Thomas? And then also today, one of the girls in the gym, Denise, I
That's who it
believe.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, Denise. She mentions that she listens to the podcast all the time. Shout out to her.
Mhm.
She's probably listening to this and cleaning right now.
That's
Not
right.
because she's a female, okay, just because that's what she said she does when she listens to the podcast.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, yeah, this is a lot of fun. Andrew and I just got done smashing some biceps and triceps. Got a great workout in. Smokey snuck in with us. Our
Mhm.
boy Lauren snuck in with us. We had a cop working out with us today.
Mhm.
I'm surprised somebody didn't get arrested for the pump that we got.
No one asked me for my green card or anything.
Oh man, maybe that would be next time.
Maybe.
Anyway, we're gonna head on out of here. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. See you guys later.